Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back once again with the Renegade Master, your Dreadlock caster, RedRipz. Yeah, and we're here for another episode of CasualCraft. Now, this is episode number 54, I'm tempted to say, possibly 53, somewhere in the early 50s. I'm not sure it really matters what number we're on. What we're here for is StarCraft. Now, today's game on Derelict Watcher. Another ladder game. This is a TVZ game, and we're here with two Diamond League players today. And this one was sent to me via Twitter by one of the players. I'm not going to tell you who, but he will know, obviously. So big shout out to you, sir. Big shout out. Thank you very much for submitting your game. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner, today's brother from another mother. It is the Red Terran player, TwisteR, or TwisteR, TwisteR. I'm going to go for TwisteR. We're going to go for TwisteR. So up in the top right, his opponent. In the blue, it's the Zerg player, Lucoda. Yeah. Whoop. Today's sister from another mister, right here, looking good. So we've got Zerg v Terran, as we say. Derelict Watcher is the name of the map, and StarCraft 2 is the name of the game. So with that in mind, we're going to see what both players are doing. Now, I've just finished work early again today, because basically the last couple of days I've been ill as hell. Not really ill as hell, that's pretty ill. I've been ill, but not in like a hip-hop kind of way, like the illest. I've been sort of just dizzy and kind of sick. And just minging, really. And I can speak a bit clearer today. I had a really nasty cough over the weekend, so I've sort of cleared that up a little bit now, and that problem being sorted out. I'm now back to cast games once again here on Tuesday. I missed the Friday and the Sunday and the Monday this week. Actually, God, yeah, I'm terrible at this. I really need to get my shit together and start actually doing this regularly again, rather than once every blue moon, or well, 3-4 times a week. Basically, I'm aiming for 5 days a week. Monday to Friday has always been my aim. And Lucoda aiming for one base straight away off the bat here, getting on the low ground with his mother. What am I talking about today? Of course the Zerg gets his base on the low ground. He's a Zerg player. It's the Terran I'm talking about here, getting his base on the low ground. Mr. TwisteR down in the bottom left-hand corner. And there are no mothership cores in this engagement. So TwisteR went first with the command centre. So that was command centre first, followed by the barracks just behind that on the high ground up here. He's going to try and wall this in a little bit more. Actually, that barracks is slightly too far away to wall that in properly there, interestingly enough. Meanwhile, Lucoda got the hatchery down on the low ground. Meanwhile, he's getting his spawning pool out just behind that, and also a gas now as well. So we'll be seeing an early Zergling speed, all the usual banter. I'd imagine he's going to go straight into Banelings, that sort of thing. Tends to be the composition that Zerg players will take against the every single game Terran composition at the moment, which pretty much is Marine, Marauder, Medivac and Widowmine. Although, if you watch my games, you'll know that's not always true, because we've seen a whole bunch of Zerg, being chinned recently in my games, like, that I've watched by, like, mech and stuff, which is just not quite as common. And then there was that game last week where what was the guy's name? No, it was a barcode player. That's why I can't remember his name. I think Kittens actually might be the person that who submitted that game. So I think that'll be who it was. Basically, he went mass Raven and built loads of defensive structures for the ground. Like, he got all the Terran building upgrades and stuff. Which is fine. It just totally out of the meta and worked really, really well, and actually ended up pretty much chinning his opponent. So that was pretty good. We've got a bit of a scout going on here for TwisteR. He's just seeing what the crack is, really. He's going to be getting the bunker on the high ground here as well, in front of his natural, just generally bunkering down, getting himself sorted out so he can get these first two bases fully macroed up with SCVs, and also he's going to go for the factory now behind this. So a command centre first, followed by what looks like a 1-1-1. Just going to budge that barracks over very slightly there, just to fill in the gaps left when he initially placed it. Now, meanwhile, we're getting, as I thought, the Zerg speed out of our Zerg player. He is continuing to mine gas, though, so it looks like he might just be getting this Baning Nest straight out here as soon as he hits the 50. We'll wait and see what he does. And no, we're going to get Spine Crawler down at the front instead. Just general safe plays here out of both players, just both going for the two base builds with some extra defences. Now, I'd imagine our Zerg player, on spotting that second command centre there, which he should have done by now, if we just do that. Yeah, oh, no, yeah, he has spotted that, that's fine. He will probably be going for a third base because, as I say, you do want to try and remain ahead, generally, as a Zerg player on the number of bases because, well, it's how you overwhelm your opponent. All your units generally are weaker than your opponents. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's what they'll be aiming for. Now, actually, we're just going to go straight into the layer tech here, getting a second gas out behind that. Not having the massive amount of instant banelings like I thought, and luckily for TwisteR, he's going to scan just as this goes down, so he knows exactly what Lucoda's up to, and can be pretty sure that his current Hellion aggression that he's planning here, as he's starting to build these two Hellions on the high ground, should go pretty well for him. I feel actually, as as I don't think Lucoda's really rushing out the units yet, since he's getting down 2 more gases, and I think we'll generally be moving into upgrades pretty shortly after this, or perhaps maybe rushing out some muters or something like that. A little bit difficult to tell at this stage in this Diamond League game, but I'm sure we'll see what happens. Now, on TwisteR's base, meanwhile, he's going to be getting down the 3rd command centre here at the front. He's also filling in his wall as well to stop those Zerglings doing the big run-bys that they can pull off on these second bases. He's got another bunker behind this, and I really like these bunkers, actually. For defence against Baneling busts and such like, having a second bunker in behind just adds so much more DPS and gives your troops, like, just the extra places to stand, really, is what you're after, so that they can't just instantly be killed and swarmed over by Zerglings. And like, these are surprisingly effective for stopping that sort of thing, because it takes so many Baners to get through each bunker that it basically makes them much more efficient than your standard Marines. Now, just the 2 Hellions out the front here, it looks like actually Lucoda will be going for the Spire behind that as well, so I think we're just going to be seeing the Muter-Ling sort of composition out of him. He's going to get a bunch of the Zerglings out the front here. They're going to surround the Hellions, and not quite get the surround of the Hellions, actually. That was quite nice by TwisteR getting away there. 2 more Hellions turning up. We're going to see most of these Zerglings fried if they decide to stick around there, and as a result they're forced to pull back. We're seeing Stimpack out of TwisteR here, so it does look like generally we'll be going up the bio composition. Double engineering bay coming down at the back now as well, alongside the extra refineries there as well. It's interesting he's got so many refineries. Perhaps he's just perhaps he's generally looking to just tech up really quickly or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe go mass marauder or something like that will be his ploy. I'm not entirely sure. You just don't generally need 4 refineries down unless you're getting quite a lot of gas out, for bio anyway, because bio compositions tend to be much more mineral based, since you'll be generally just pumping out the Marines. He also hasn't yet got down the starport yet. He's gone for the 2 extra barracks rather than getting the starport as part of the 1-1-1 build. So it looks like it wasn't the 1-1-1 that I perhaps imagined, and generally we'll be doing the starport coming down after those 2 extra barracks now. So as TwisteR just generally techs up here, he's getting the reactors down as well. I think we'll be seeing Marines pumped out behind all this generally. I don't think we're going to see perhaps too much in the way of Marauders like I'd perhaps envisaged there, but that's pretty sensible. To be honest, you don't really want Marauders out unless they're going sort of a lot of roaches or something like that, a lot of ground units that they need to be dealing with, whereas with the air units that are coming out here out of Lucoda, with the first few mutants spawning there now, I think we're going to see generally much more, well, obviously much more Marine heavy play. I imagine he'll be starting to get out the Widow Mines, but as long as sort of TwisteR doesn't, like, rely on them, he should be okay. As long as he uses them just for the extra DPS, it should be fine. You see a lot of players falling over now because they're using the Widow Mines to basically just try and stop all aggression from the Zerg players. And unfortunately, Zerg players are learning, well, unfortunately for Terrans, Zerg players are learning to deal with this sort of thing by just dodging around the mines. So we've got 2 mines down in the front here now, and as long as the Zerg player spots this, and he actually could morph this Overlord as well into an Overseer, and then he'll be able to see those Widow Mines, and he's going to be aware that they're there, but really TwisteR shouldn't be relying too much on the Widow Mines. He needs to be making sure he's responding to any assaults like that, and just generally just trying not to rely on them too much, because otherwise you can the Zerg will find a chink in your armour, and well, for example, he could just fly around the back of here and shoot down these where is it, the missile turret there, and then, well, basically you've got a whole mineral line to bomb is at your leisure, really, Mr. Zerg player. So yeah, we're going to see TwisteR pushing in once again with these Hellions at the top there. They're probably not going to do too much. I think they might just cook up some Zerglings, but as long as he keeps microing them, he shouldn't lose more than 1 there, but he's going to lose a couple now, and actually with the Muters coming over as well, we might see the end of these Hellions here now, as the Muters are moving into intercept. I don't think we're going to have much left in the way of Hellions here before long, as yeah, they're even split there. That was quite nice play there by Lucoda, actually, just making sure he's picking up on everything, taking down the Hellions, stopping any of this aggression, and allowing himself to move out. Meanwhile, his 3rd base is starting to get populated now. Obviously, he's got double gases down there, and he's going for a 4th down at the bottom end of the map. So we should be seeing just generally the advancement of his play into the late game. I think he'll probably just try and churn out a bunch of Muters. I don't know if he'll go more than maybe 20 odd before he decides to move up. A lot of Zerg players now are sort of realising you don't actually need 40 Mutalisks, and in fact 20 will do, and you can quite happily move on to the later game there. And with the 4 Banelings coming out the front, these are pretty defensive at the moment. If you're only going to get 4, you're not going to be busting very much with those, so they're basically just to stop any random Marine run-bys and things like that for the time being. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks are going to be heading at the base here. We've got the Overseer here to apparently tank the initial Widow Mine. Not really ideal, but with that many Mutalisks, we should be able to kill the Widow Mines usually before the Widow Mines pop off. And although there is one on there, is he actually going to spot that? Yeah, down goes the Overseer, and that's the end of that, unfortunately. So this yeah, with more Marines coming out now as well, this Mutalisk aggression is going to be pushed back here. He's going to have to get another Overseer together, and that was quite unfortunate for Lucoda there. He had a really good chance to push in, but with the additional Widow Mine there, and not being sure of whether there was any more, because obviously he lost the Overseer, because unfortunately he managed to lead with it, which, I mean, I don't think he intended that necessarily, but the Overseer went in slightly first and took the brunt of the damage, which wasn't really what you want, really. I mean, yeah, obviously overseers aren't as valuable as Mutalisks, but when the overseer is basically the only thing allowing you to use the Mutalisks because you've got Widow Mines down in your opponent's base, it's really difficult to push in without that, as obviously you're trying to remember where all the mines are and just hoping he hasn't snuck any extras down since you last had your overseer over. Meanwhile, we're going to see another aggression out the Mutalisks here. They're going to kill this missile turret without any bother whatsoever. There's not really any troubles there. I think he's going to remember where this Widow Mine is, and we might even see, oh yeah, we've got 2 more overseers in the back there, so we're going to have to see TwisteR's response to this, see if he can hold this back, getting another missile turret down, just generally trying to slow down the Zerg player. Meanwhile, I've got Hellion over here watching this extra base of Lucodas go down. I'm not sure actually how aware TwisteR is. Yeah, he's seen the 3rd base here of Lucoda, and has now spotted this 4th as well, although isn't aware of this the 5th one down the bottom here, which actually came down before the 4th that he spotted, so that's interesting. Meanwhile, obviously a little bit more pressure at the front here. These Marines aren't really enough to take down a large amount of these Mutalisks, and to be honest, I don't get what it is with Terrans and over-microing their Marines. Like that guy dancing his Marines backwards and forwards then to kill the Mutalisks. If you just left them firing, you'd probably get more out of them, to be honest. I'm not really sure what the crack is with that. They just seem to love dancing them around and letting them die. And we're going to see another bunch of Marines move in here, and they're not going to do shit all, because they're, well, I mean, well, they shouldn't do shit all. There's only 5 of them, but apparently the Mutalisks are going to move back and save themselves there. Now, we've got a little bit of a bioforce gathering at the front here for TwisteR. This is going to be the thick of his army for the time being. He will be getting out. Have we got any medivacs coming down? Where are they? The 2 medivacs coming down again now that he's sorted out the supply block problem. Further than that, he's going to be just generally building lots of Marines. We've got Marauders coming out. No, we don't. We've got Marines coming out of the tech lab as well. So generally just Marine-based army here, I think, with some medivacs over the top of it. And with that tech lab falling there as well, that was really unfortunate. I think that was that concussive shells that we just missed out on then, or was it I missed which upgrade he was actually getting at the time. But that was an upgrade stop there for Lucoda. So that was a really nice snipe there. An upgrade stop for TwisteR there. Really nice snipe by Lucoda. And with that, we're actually going to see some Lings moving out across the map as well. He's going to head for the 3rd base of TwisteR here, just put on some pressure. Shouldn't do too much damage, as there is a bunker here already, and those Lings should be cleared up pretty quickly, especially considering the fact there's extra Marines here as well. We're going to see a command centre down as well now out of TwisteR here in the high ground of his 3rd. So it does generally look like he might be moving out into a 4th base before long. Meanwhile, we're going to see some pressure in this 5th base here of Lucoda. It does look like this base will be falling pretty quickly before anything can get there to stop it. And with the Marines at the front wandering out, trying to pick off some extra queens, doing a very good job of it, to be honest. That base is going to fall, and TwisteR should be able to keep his army together here and generally just move forward and down. I quite like his splitting here. It's definitely a good thing to be keeping your troops apart if you can. It helps avoid the bouncing shots of the Mutalisks, as well as any other AoE damage that the Zerg player can come out with, such as the Banelings or whatever. But considering Lucoda isn't really going Banelings, he's just sort of concentrating on this massive volume of Mutalisks he's got here now, with more than 24. If we just have a look, yeah, nearly 30 Mutalisks he's got now, with 2 or 3 more spawning as well. It's oh, sorry, not spawning, they're already there. 31 Mutalisks down, and this army here of TwisteR's just getting completely cleared up there as a few Banelings just roll on in. Medivacs died so quickly at those Mutalisks, and TwisteR really looking at quite a nasty situation here now. He needs to get his SCVs mining again in his 3rd. They're going to start doing that now. Meanwhile, I've got a whole 7 Marines at the front here, plus a few more in the mid here, but I don't think, no, we're going to see the cancels there on the Banelings, and with a few Banelings actually rolling into those Marines, that was quite a nice little instant trade there for Lucoda, just getting those 2 down. Got more Burrowed Banelings at the top here as well. I like this. Burrowed Banelings are actually really hilarious, I'll be honest. So with those all over the middle of the map there, it looks like Lucoda might be keeping our TwisteR player on, our Terran player on his toes, as once again he's running in and doing a lot of damage to this orbital command, but not quite managing to take it out. Meanwhile, TwisteR's actually nicely ahead on upgrades here, so to be honest, as long as he can stay alive and deal with some of these mutas with just a mass Marine sort of play, he should be able to stick this out. And he did have a Thor there as well, so a couple of Thors would be very nice for him actually, just to help deal with these mutas. Obviously you get the AoE on the air units with the Thors, and that would be really, really good for him. Meanwhile, obviously 3-3 finishing up for his Marines, this is going to really help him deal with this mutalist pack, as it just stops you taking anywhere near as much damage, and as you output, loads more damage. So it's good stuff. So Lucoda still just poking in, picking off the old Widow Mine, not doing anything too outlandish there. Meanwhile, a huge swamp of Banelings coming in here, and these are going to clean up everything on the low ground here. We're not really going to see that much left here. And I think with these Banelings rolling through the front here as well, taking out all that front line there, we've got a nice big gap opened here in the front of TwisteR's base here now for Lucoda to flood more troops in. And with the forces being pulled down out the 3rd base, we're going to see more pressure from the Mutalisks on the 3rd of TwisteR once again. And TwisteR's really struggling to hold on to this base. base now. His army's having to dance between the main and second. That was really nice work out of Lucoda there, just pulling TwisteR's forces off that high ground so he could once again strike at the third base. And with the second mining out, the main pretty much done the same as well. It's looking pretty grim here for TwisteR if he loses this base. He basically needs to hold on to this and make sure he does just that, because if he doesn't, then well, he's screwed essentially. And I've accidentally just pressed B when I was trying to press V then. So we're just going to watch the next 10 seconds again. That's fine. I'll add some more detail in the sense that basically we haven't discovered this bottom corner base here, TwisteR. Is all I've got to say about that. So yeah, he needs to get his act together with that a little bit. Maybe scout out the corners of the map a little bit more, because hidden bases are a thing. They happen, and it's something you've got to be aware of, because if you don't keep on your toes and keep, get on these hidden bases. I mean, Zerg, hidden bases of Zerg is brilliant, because you've just got a whole extra bases worth of economy. Your opponent thinks you're stuck on 3 bases and just working for this 4th one at the top, when in reality this is 4 bases going on 5. And we've actually still got 3 full mining bases here out of our Zerg player, because there's one here, one down on the low ground, on the 3rd here, and I'd imagine, yeah, we've populated this 4th base down at the bottom now as well. And with this command center here for TwisteR dying now, that he's not managing to get that 4th base down of his own there, that's really, really difficult here now for TwisteR, because he's basically stuck on 1 mining base. He doesn't really have any gases down beyond the initial ones either. I mean, I think those will be mining for a little while. Yeah, we've still got 1,000 odd gas in each of those on his second, so he should be okay for the time being. But it is looking a little bit grim for TwisteR, I'll be honest. And with Lucoda just having this huge Mutalist pack wandering around the map that the Marines can't quite keep up with, it's really quite difficult here. And obviously with the bird zergling underneath that 4th base, that is such a pain in the arse there for TwisteR. He's not even going to discover this until the base actually lands, which is even funnier, to be honest. So he's going to have to waste a scan to get rid of that, which is a little bit of a shame for him. Although with this sort of army coming together now, he's not going to have too much problem there. Meanwhile, we've got the huge Mutalist pack. Once again, if you just have a look at the unit tab there, that's what is it? 41 Mutalists. So much for the Zerg players deciding not to go up to 40 Mutalisks and going for the late game tech. Lucoda here playing Jadong style, going straight in with the mid-tier tech, and all he needs a layer, really. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Hive, what's the point when you could just have massive amounts of Mutalisks? All good. Meanwhile, the 3rd base of TwisteR here, taken out completely. I think a lot of banelings had gone up that ramp by the sound of it. There's a lot of debris there on the high ground, and with this 3rd base falling now, TwisteR's left really just on this singular base, which can't even land at the moment. And yeah, he's in a really difficult position now. This is pretty much the sum of his parts at the moment, as far as TwisteR's concerned. Everything I'm boxing here. So we've got, what have we got? We've got 9 Medivacs out. We've got 2 Thors, a metric crap ton of Marines. That's an actual number, and then also 3 or 4 Widow Mines there as well. And with the Mutalisks wandering around again, taking down that extra base there, since it hadn't managed to land because obviously the Zergling was in the way. There's TwisteR's looking really, really nasty here, as well as Lucoda on the other hand, absolutely fine, wandering around. He's got his Mutalisks going on. He's got 53 Mutalisks out now for Lucoda. Very, very strong plays, and he's generally just going to be looking to take this game, really. I mean, basically at this point, TwisteR has to fight and get down this 3rd base. If he can't get down the 3rd base, he pretty much loses. Lucoda will be able to starve him out, and to be honest, could almost A-move his Mutalisks in and still manage to remake them all in good time, as he's got just 4 bases down, a 5th one well on the way, and just generally looking really, really strong here. So with the bird banelings there just popping out, taking a little chunk out of this army here for TwisteR as well. It's not ideal, let's be honest. And I've actually, we're going to see some more bird banelings there, just taking out a few of these troops. Massive connections there out of TwisteR's bird banelings. A big laugh out of TwisteR, and I don't think there's much here that TwisteR can do, really. His army supply now finally drops below 60. Muta's nice unit, he said, and a little smile from Lucoda to end the game. And well, yeah, that was really cool. I loved Lucoda's play there, to be honest. He basically just got out a lot of Mutalisks, let's be honest, and TwisteR didn't manage to put on anywhere near enough pressure to stop him doing that. I don't think he ever discovered that base in the bottom corner. He's going, oh no, he did, sorry, right at the end he's found that base there. So yeah, when he watches the replay, he's going to be really quite annoyed about that. I think if he put a little bit more pressure on, perhaps when he'd scouted this early layer coming out, he must have known some layer tech was coming, and there's before the actual tech gets out, there's a sort of a dip in the terms of what the Zerg player can do. So while he's busy teching up, he can't produce the units in the same way, because obviously he's trying to get this 3rd base populated and stuff, as well as getting out his tech and the economy that he needs to build that many Mutalisks. So really at that point, it's up to the Terran to move in and try and do some damage and slow down the Zerg player while the Terran gets the army together that he needs to deal with it. But unfortunately, with that many banelings down and all these Mutalisks wandering around the map for so long, dealing with this 3rd base here and continually stopping this base here as well, there was just not very much that TwisteR could have done there at the end once this massive Mutalist pack pack was out, other than get a lot of Thors or something like that. And really, because he was behind in that respect, there wasn't really much he could have done. Well, thanks once again for watching, everybody, and I'll be back tomorrow with any luck. Hopefully I'll be a little bit less ill. That'll be quite nice. Well, yeah, so thanks once again for watching. It's been another game of CasualCraft, episode 50-something, and as I say, like, comment, subscribe, all the usual banter. So GG to both players. Cheers.